the next 20 years will be vastly different from the last 20. Yeah. That very idea, that prophetic school of thought, a clarion call, if you like, articulated by this incredible leader, sits squarely at the heart of this gathering today. It reminds us why we are here: to anticipate, one, to adapt, as well as to embrace the seismic shifts that will shape not just the future of technology, but the prosperity of our people. Now, over the next 4 hours, I have been unenviable task of steering a program brimming with unending expertise, rich ideas, and transformative solutions. Each moment has been designed to inform, to inspire, as well as to challenge us to reimagine Eswatini's digital journey, our digital destiny. And before we dive into this extraordinary program, let's take a moment to celebrate. And I ask that you please join me in extending a heartfelt round of applause for the visionary idea behind today's gathering, the remarkable leaders, as well as the partners who made it possible, and you, our esteemed audience, whose presence signals a shared commitment to shaping Eswatini's digital future. That's right. Incredible. Now, to truly appreciate the significance of this milestone, we must first lay the groundwork. That's very important. And to take us through the purpose, the scope, as well as the aspiration of this partnership, I now call upon the Principal Secretary of the Ministry of ICT, Mr. Pesheya Dube. And I want to request that we all extend a warm and spirited applause as he takes center stage. Mr. Dube.
Thank you very much, Program Director, Honorable Minister for ICT, our esteemed Google partners, captains of industry, Minister of ICT officials, distinguished guests, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. As we begin this momentous occasion, allow me, Program Director, to first introduce a brief video that will set the tone for today's event, showcasing the Government in Your Hand agenda.
Welcome to the future of Eswatini. Over the next few years, this beautiful kingdom will experience a digital revolution that will transform the lives of Eswatini for the better. The Ministry of ICT's digitalization strategy will usher the kingdom into the 5th industrial revolution. So, get ready to dive into the world of digital transformation. The Eswatini government, through the Ministry of ICT, has developed a strategic plan to revolutionize government services with the Government in Your Hand GYIH project. The main goal of this strategy is to introduce quick transactional online government services, ensuring that you, the citizen, have easy access to government information and services anytime, anywhere. Imagine a world where services like acquiring a national ID, trading license, driver's license, and any of the 200 plus government services is accessible at the comfort of your home and authenticated through a biometric system. The Ministry of ICT will develop a one-stop shop e-services portal for all government services and deliver them right to your doorstep, noma enkundleni yakho. From web portals to mobile apps, over-the-top or OTT bots and USSD channels, we leaving no stone unturned to ensure that you get the best value you deserve from your government. Visualize a future where payments for government services are not limited to cash only. With the first world digital economy in mind, the government is working towards providing easy payment options for all its services. This will not only save you time and travel costs, but also enhance efficiency, transparency, accountability, and public participation. Now, let's talk numbers. The government's efforts will result in tremendous progress in various ICT indices as witnessed in countries that have fully digitalized government services. We anticipate Eswatini E-Government Development Index, EGDI, to leapfrog from position 141 out of 193 countries to position 65, while the Global Cybersecurity Index, GCI, will jump from 135th position to 80th out of 194 countries. So, what's in it for you? Well, get ready for a 24/7, 365-day access to government information and services. But before we get there, we need to strengthen our digital infrastructure. The government of Eswatini is currently rolling out of various applications such as a new government email system, e-case management system, e-procurement system, and more. We are also focused on building capacity, protecting data, and combating cybercrime in the digital age with strong policies. Moving into the midterm goals, the government plans to roll out optic fiber and implement digital ID and e-visa systems. Within 5 years, the government plans to expand fiber connections and deploy 5G networks across the country. We will re-engineer and centralize all government systems, promoting innovation through the adoption of blockchain technology and AI-driven solutions. This will birth new industries and stimulate innovation in various sectors such as fintech, e-commerce, and AI component manufacturing, boosting entrepreneurship, especially for the youth in Eswatini. That's not all. This transformational improvement will place the Kingdom of Eswatini in the first world digital economy, proving to the world that we are ready for global business and trade. The Ministry of ICT through EPTC continues to connect businesses and homes with high-speed internet, while Eskom ensures a conducive and vibrant ICT industry, bridging the digital divide through the Universal Access and Service Fund. The already established data center at RSTP is the bedrock for the realization of the GIYH project, and it's expected to provide more data sovereignty and promote AI-driven solutions, attracting more investors. In driving change management, the ministry will leverage Eswatini TV and EBI as broadcasting platforms to create awareness on government's digitalization program. The Ministry of ICT strategy will fulfill His Majesty's paperless and efficient government by aligning with the Kingdom's National Development Plan and the Sustainable Development Goals, coupled with the dynamic and forward-looking policies, and in the near future, we will see the implementation of innovative solutions such as square kilometer arrays, forensic labs, robotics, nano-archiving, and many more. The Kingdom is open for investment in these sectors, as well as biotech, renewable energy, data center optimization, semiconductor manufacturing, AI academy, broadband infrastructure, agro-processing, mineral prospecting and processing plants, and many more. This strategy is guaranteed to thrive, but we can't do it alone. We need strong partnerships that are, but not limited to, our fellow governmental ministries, departments, and agencies to financial institutions, network infrastructure, and social development partners. It's important for all of us to dream big and work hard together to build this wonderful kingdom into a great first world state for Onke Emaswati. The Ministry of ICT's digitalization strategy is here. Asibambisane, sigijime, sitsimkwe.
Thank you very much. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this partnership between the Ministry of ICT and Google marks a transformative chapter in the Kingdom of Eswatini's digital journey. May I therefore extend our profound gratitude to all our esteemed stakeholders who have joined us here today as we seal a strategic partnership for Eswatini's digital future and economic prosperity. Your presence underscores the significance of this initiative. Through this collaboration, we are not only stimulating innovation, but also implementing the Government in Your Hand program, Eswatini's Digitalization Strategy 2024 up to 2028. The Government in Your Hand is transforming access to public services, empowering every citizen of this beautiful kingdom with seamless, inclusive solutions that leave no one behind. Through this groundbreaking partnership with Google, we are harnessing the transformative power of technology and our shared dedication to progress. This collaboration, ladies and gentlemen, unlocks digital tools, platforms, and digital skills essential for fast-tracking Eswatini's digital transformation, driving unparalleled economic growth, innovation, and opportunity for all of Eswatini. Together, we are not just imagining a connected future, we are building it. The GIYH program and this strategic partnership we are witnessing today are a direct response to the submissions made during the Sibaya, the People's Parliament, where citizens voiced the pressing need for improved access to public services, solutions to unemployment, and ways to combat poverty. Today, we are laying the groundwork for a smarter and more connected Eswatini. From capacity building to leveraging advanced technologies, this collaboration is designed to enable innovation at every level, transforming not just how we engage with technology, but also how we achieve sustainable growth and prosperity for the citizens. Once again, as the Minister of ICT, we welcome you all and thank you for being part of this historic initiative, and we look forward to the possibilities that lie ahead. I thank you.
How groundbreaking is this Government in Your Hand initiative? Really, really beautiful developments happening in Eswatini. Before I continue, how remiss was I in not acknowledging our digital audience, particularly today, where it is proof that the world is literally digital, both literally and figuratively. So I do want to welcome them, wherever they are, across all the four corners of the country as well as the whole globe. Welcome aboard. This is a partnership that includes all of us, including yourself at home. We continue with our program, and we get into a very, very interesting part of our program now. And I just want to say, from Silicon Valley to the Kingdom of Eswatini, Google has continuously demonstrated the power of technology to uplift as well as to transform, and we need to recognize that. They are not just leaders in innovation, but allies in progress, committed to empowering nations to dream bigger and achieve greater. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to hear from Google's representative, Mr. Tarun Rao. Let's welcome them with unbridled enthusiasm.
Hello and good morning, everybody. Before we start the presentation, while they get the slides up, I just want to welcome everyone and thank you. It is my first time in Eswatini, and from the moment the airplane touched down, going through the airport, getting to the hotel, coming here, it has just been a delight with the friendliness and the hospitality that we have received. So thank you very much. It is always, lovely to visit a new country, and going through and driving on the roads, the highways, the landscapes, the nature, it is so refreshing. I come from Dubai, where we don't have much green, so I'm always so impressed with all the lush fauna and flora around Eswatini. So thank you so much for having us. Will we have a chance to get the slides up on behind me? I'll be able to welcome you. Sawubona, everyone. How was that? How was that? It was okay? All right, excellent. So, you know, at Google, everybody knows Google from a consumer perspective. So today, we go to google.com to search. We use Gmail to interact with the outside world. We use YouTube to educate ourselves and to entertain ourselves. We use potentially Google Pay to do digital transactions on our phones when we travel and in the country. We also use, you know, the Google Play Store to download apps to run on our phones. And those apps open up a world of opportunity for us. So at Google, we have an area of our business that is very different than our consumer business. And it is called Google Cloud. And Google Cloud is where we have been very interested working with the Ministry of ICT. We have met in Eswatini, we have met in Joburg, we have met in Dubai, we have met virtually, and I welcome everybody joining us virtually as well. And we have already started workshops to try to understand how can we build a unified vision on how we can take the government in your hand initiative and make that possible and as simple to use as the Google consumer product. So the idea is that today, Google's mission is to make and organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. At Google Cloud, we're part of that Google mission, and we work with governments, and we bring the consumer experience to public sector missions. So the idea is that when we download that Ministry of ICT application, when we visit that e-services portal, it should be as seamless and as simple to use as it is to use Google technologies. You know, the ERS has hosted us today, and I would like to thank the Commissioner for the hosting and the hospitality and this lovely auditorium. But I was very interested to read that the brand promise was a happy client. Now, I don't think anybody is ambitious globally to represent the tax authority of a country and ask for a happy client. But there is a reason why paying sounds so much like painting, right? So we pay tax, and when we're paying the tax, it's almost like a pain. But speaking this morning to the Commissioner, he mentioned to take the pain out of paying your taxes. And with Google technology and with this journey and the first step we're taking today with the government of Eswatini, I think we can take the pain out of all government services. When the government comes into your hand, wherever you are, even the diaspora can interact with government services. You don't have to, you know, I've met people that have to fly in to renew their passport. We don't need to do that. We don't need to stand in queues. We don't need to wait. Today the technology is available. The blockchain is there. You know, 3D eye scans, know your client, digital IDs. The technology is available to enable all of this vision, and it's straightforward. We just need your commitment and our technology, and we will make it happen. All right, on the next slide, today the strategic alliance is to accelerate digital transformation. Digital transformation has been happening, and it's very clear. You know, Tarun, one of our team members, had to apply for a visa, and the application of that visa was becoming more and more digital compared to a few years back. But we're here to accelerate it so we can enhance the adoption of cloud computing services within Eswatini. So sometimes many governments, in our experience, has gone down this journey, and they offer the services. For example, I know the Ministry of ICT has recently published an application to try to build a repository of ICT skills within Eswatini and within the Eswatini Swazi diaspora. But having an application is one thing. Adoption of the application is another. So we're not here to get nice pictures, get nice claps, put something on paper, offer an application, and then disappear. This is a journey. This is a long partnership that we need to ensure gets adopted by the citizens. And to do that, it needs to be simple. And on the next slide, you see simplicity. It needs to be secure, and it needs to be fast. With those three elements that we're also used to as consumers, working with the government will become a delight. Google.com, it's simple, it's secure, it's fast. YouTube, simple, secure, fast. Eswatini e-government services, simple, secure, fast. And the underlying technology is intelligence. And today with artificial intelligence, a lot can be done. On the next slide, I know some of you in the audience are thinking, great vision, but difficult to implement. I know that today there are digital skills gap. We're not trained. We don't know how. First, I want to say, sometimes digital skills are overcomplicated. In the past, when you needed to run an Oracle database, you had to go take a one-week session. You need to get certified. You need to get trained. You need to read a really big manual just to learn how to work with Oracle. But there's a reason why when you buy an iPhone or a Google Pixel phone, it doesn't come with a manual anymore. The reason why when you get a Gmail email address, there's no training required to use Gmail. Has anybody taken any training to use Google.com? Non-existent. So that is a way we can help with the digital skills, but over and above that, we have also worked with the Honorable Minister of ICT, and her primary focus has not been about the technology adoption, but about how we can offer the next generation of Eswatini citizens the required digital skills so they can excel in the new world. And that's through university training programs, that's through digital skills academies, that's through certification on the latest technologies of machine learning, artificial intelligence, and data analytics. On the next slide, we talk about, okay, how can we overcome those challenges? So if we just click, you will see that those challenges can be overcome. So when it comes, Google is very well known to bringing the power of Google to the mission of public sector. So today, how many of you have used Google Translate? All right. You know that Google Translate covers the majority of languages. Not only the local languages covered, but those of the diaspora and those of immigrants that come in are covered within Google Translate. So we take that ability that we have built in Google Translate, which is a consumer product, it's available for free, anybody can use it, and we bring it to government. So if you click on the next slide, you will see that we can use that same technology, and we have used that same technology with governments to enable them to do a call center where people can call and use their natural native language. So if English is your language, great. If French is your language, great. But if Zulu is your language, then we can cover that, because Google Translate allows you to speak in your language, interact with your language with the government services, regardless of who you're talking to. On collaboration, we take our ability to email and chat with each other that is available in Gmail and Google Chat, and we bring that to government. So imagine every government employee with a digital identity, and they can be able to chat with other government employees or anybody around the world. They are able to email, and they are able to collaborate on the creation of documents. That's the technology that is available at Google, and we can bring it to the government to enable that. And we've done that to empower hybrid workforces and to connect job seekers with employers using our secure collaboration space. On visual data, we're all familiar with our work with YouTube and Google Maps. So we take that intelligence that we've built in the consumer space and we apply it to government. For example, in France, they had a problem with the potholes on the streets. So they were thinking, how can we fix them? We don't know where they are. They keep changing. But then we realized that the buses, the public transportation buses, have a camera on them. So we said, why don't we take the video of the camera of all the buses driving around all the streets, and we use artificial intelligence, and those cameras can spot where the potholes are, and then they will automatically create a case with the Ministry of Manpower, and they can go in and fix the potholes in an automated fashion. So we're using our digital AI capabilities on video to help identify potholes. The other interesting use case is that we applied this in another European country where we're using satellite pictures to identify swimming pools that residents have built in their homes. And then we match that with the permit department in the municipality to ensure that we're using AI with satellite photos to make sure that citizens are getting the right permits to extend their homes and build swimming pools. So that's the kind of technology that can be done. Also going paperless. Nobody likes papers. Anybody likes papers? We lose them, they get crumpled. Why papers? Let's save the environment, let's save our lovely landscape in Eswatini and go paperless. Everybody has a phone. We can fill out forms on the phone. We can get visas, driver licenses, identification cards on the phone. And now some countries are even trialing an electronic passport. So you no longer need a paper passport, you can get an electronic passport. So everything is moving digital. The problem is, the challenge is, what do we do with the archives? What do we do with the history? What do we do with all the living people, all the current documents? So we have the technology to take documents in the thousands, scan them, and use AI to read them. And take all, even if it's handwritten, we take handwritten notes from all the documents available in the archives across all the ministries, and we put them into a digital data warehouse. And then that digital data warehouse can be searched instantaneously. You don't need to go visit the archives. You don't need to submit a request. You don't need to wait a week or two to find, a document that was created 10, 20, 100 years ago. We can do it digitally. On geointelligence, we can use our capabilities when it comes to maps to understand air quality and improve public health. We're working on that project in Qatar, for example, where they are using our satellite photos to identify pollution coming in and out of the city and marry that with the sensor data that they have. And as you train the AI model, with time, you no longer need to invest in sensors. You can actually understand the quality of the air from the sky, from space, from satellite photos. And the last one is big data. Google.com is very well known to be able to take a huge amount of data and make it accessible easily and quickly. And that's exactly what we've done in New York, where we have helped identify Social Security claims that are valid as opposed to fraud. So we can use AI to try to understand, oh, this request is suspicious. Please have a second look. This request is valid, automated, immediately pay it out. The other way we've done it is also, we worked with researchers to catalog billions of galaxies. But the really interesting one is unemployment benefits. Also, instead of having a highly manual, human resource intensive process to process unemployment benefits, we can automate it using AI. And then the valid ones get automated, the ones that look suspicious, then you introduce a human element to look at them. On the next slide, I just wanted to end this piece by saying that today, with technology from Google and the government, we can work in a lot of areas. Citizen services is the first area we have decided with government in your hand to start our collaboration with the government. But that same technology can also apply to the healthcare sector, the education sector, financial management, when it comes to budgeting and tax, transportation and logistics, copper, mining, agriculture sector, land management, justice, environmental and cultural heritage and tourism. So we started up there, but this is just the first step. The possibility of this partnership are endless. And with that, I'd like to thank you very much. On my next slide, I will attempt to summarize what we have already agreed with the Ministry of ICT. First, we're going to work on the digital modernization of e-government services to the citizens and residents of Eswatini. Then we're going to bring in AI-powered future, see how we can introduce AI to help become more efficient. And third, and most importantly, we're going to start with productivity and collaboration with using Google Workspace for public servants to connect, create, and collaborate together. But all of that wouldn't be possible unless we invest in developing human capital. And that is the underlying pillar that we're going to be collaborating with the government to run educational programs at school, at universities, with entrepreneurs, and with professionals within the government and within the private sector to help upskill the nation so we can adopt more of this great life-changing technology. And that skilling program is about teaching, it's about learning, but it's also about researching. So how can we be innovative? How can we work with the PhD students, with the researchers in the universities to use the cutting-edge technology available at Google, like the fastest GPUs, the most powerful AI, large language models, to come with innovation from within, and also create this entrepreneurial environment where startups can flourish. And with that, I want to say, Niyabonga, Eswatini. Thank you very much for your attention and time. I hope you found it useful. Thank you. Back to the director.
Well, thank you, Basil, for that compelling presentation and for laying the solid foundation and just highlighting the critical importance of this partnership. That was compelling indeed. I would love to call upon the Principal Secretary again, who is going to request the Honorable Minister of ICT, Savannah Mazia, to deliver her keynote address.
Thank you once again, Program Director. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, Honorable Minister, let me join the multitudes out there in congratulating you on your latest appointment as the Director, or rather the Chairperson of the Global Council on SDGs. The Kingdom of Eswatini is grateful to be represented at this level in the global space. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, today I'm not gonna go deep into the minister's CV as I normally do, understanding the fact that there is a very important cabinet meeting going on right now, and we are both expected to be part of that meeting. But I assume that the media has done a very good job in the last 12 months in reintroducing you, Honorable Minister, back to the country, having left at the age of 14 to the United States to pursue business and academic interests. The stories that we have seen in the newspapers as well as on TV, I think have done well for people to know who you are and what you want to do and your vision for the next 4 years. Therefore, without wasting time, ladies and gentlemen, because we're pressed, I would love at this point to kindly request the Honorable Minister to come forward to the podium to make your address. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, distinguished Google guests. I should speak to the, you see? Okay, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks, Basil. Good morning, distinguished guests, and good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. I'm not gonna lie, I'm very excited about today. I'm excited because people always say, why is she traveling everywhere? What's going on? And people don't appreciate that to form these partnerships takes a long time. To negotiate with brands like yourself to come to us in this part of the world takes a bit of work. But I'm very excited because what today really means for all of us as Eswatini is this is the beginning of the great things we've been talking about. And those things lie in particular areas that are really important to us as a country, and I think that it's important that we restate them. When I first began in this job, some 12 months ago, the starting point for me was to say, because I had to go and get a passport, and I had to go through the whole process, which was really good, because it made me understand. And there were lines of people, old people, young people. And I've always hated lines anyway. And I understood right there and then that the starting point is, how do we give the people of this country dignity? You know, when you stand in line, your dignity is taken away. You don't seem like a taxpayer going to get what you duly paid for. You seem like a beggar going to beg for a service. And if that person on the other end of the giving of the service is in a good mood, the line may be faster, you may get the service faster. How do we make government visible but invisible? You bring it to the people, you ensure that the people are able to get every single service in the most convenient, fast, and secure way. And so that was the start of the journey to say, how do we get that to the people? That when they are sitting at home, they're notified a month before the passport is due, that your passport is due. That they can apply for that passport in the comfort of their own homes. That passport can be processed, having verified that particular person through a biometric that you utilize, and it's delivered to them, whether at home or at a place that's convenient to them to be able to pick it up. And so the thinking was we take every single government service that we have today and potentially want to have in the future, and we bring it to the people. And when I look at the relationship we're forming together, the starting point becomes Google addresses, digital addresses. How do you ensure that in a country where sometimes addresses that are the traditional addresses don't exist, you're able to give that to people? How do you ensure that you give people an education with a brand like yourself and skill them up, whether to work with government, to open up their own businesses, and also to be able to get jobs that are jobs of the future? Because whether we like it or not, the jobs that we have today, almost 50% of them, if not more, will not exist tomorrow. So how do we use this training platform to get our young people, of whom we have some 70% who are 35 and under? Oh, you cannot hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. So it wasn't me. It was the technology. I hope I never have to say that when we put government in your hand. But to be able to ensure that we are continuously training them and preparing them for the future world. We cannot attract investors into the country when we don't have the skills base we require. And so when we have an academy and we're able to train our children, we're able to then ensure that they are skilled for jobs, for life, and anything in between. I'm also very excited that we are getting into the area of firsts, PS, that we are the first country in Africa to be able to work with Google on workspaces in the government space. I really, really appreciate that. You know, one of the things we're also pushing is to be a country of firsts, to be able to say, how do we work in proving up concepts? We're opening up ourselves to say, how can anybody anywhere in the world know that if you want to be able to look at a process and prove up a process, we're open for business for that. But also, anybody established, we're open for business. We're looking to be able to be a power access country, because we know AI, we know data centers require power. So how can we be a power access country so that people can be able to know that if you're looking to invest in a country like ourselves, you'll never have power problems, which is a big issue in the coming world. I'm also excited because one of the things that I've been saying to the PS for a while is, we've been talking about government in your hand for a year, the past year, trying to get the brand out there, if you will, and the understanding of what it is. And this year is the execution year. We're going to have Google, we're going to have our partners from the UAE, we're going to have local partners and young local partners, the 35 and under again, the target market as I always call them, to be able to participate in the creation of their own futures. This to me is highly exciting, because I think as those who are over 30, I'm 32, those of us who are over 30 sometimes are frightened by the younger ones. It's a different future. It's so different from how we grew up. But we must be open to this future, because it is there, it is coming, and the sooner we are proactive and we get in front of it, the sooner we can be able to adopt it in a manner that is comfortable for all of us. We all know that when something is punitive, it's very, very difficult to be able to absorb. I'm also thankful for the time taken by yourselves to really see this relationship as important, because brands like yours work in France and New York, in all these parts of the world that you've mentioned here that you've done various work. I'm excited by the menu of things that we're going to be working on. Even areas like archiving you were talking about, it falls smack in the middle of what we do. Even areas that look at large language models is where we are. So we are really looking at this relationship as a great relationship for Eswatini, for the continent. We want to be a leader in the area of AI and digitization. And many people will say to you, you're only 1.2 million strong. We're looking for 65 million, 100 million. I'm still convinced, and no one can shake me from this conviction, that good things come in small packages. And we are the small package that will show the world, and Africa especially, that we can do digitization, and it will ensure that our economies grow, our youth get jobs, our youth create jobs, but most importantly, we will lead. We're always following. We're always the last. But there's an area where we did lead. When cell phones came into the world, the adoption in Africa was the fastest because of the young population chronologically. So we are convinced that this digital world that we're going to go into will enable us to really move the needle in ensuring that this space is safe, it's secure, and it's fast. And the other thing that it's going to do for us as a country is, all of a sudden, we're going to lead. And we need to lead. And we must lead. So this relationship is so utterly important. And I cannot thank you for the time taken and the hard work behind, and Tarun and you and your team and the miracles that you are performing back in your offices to get us all set up. I will never tell you, and you will never appreciate how much I really, really appreciate it. It's the beginning for all of us, but I can tell you this, it's not the end. This country thanks you for coming. I thank you for coming. We're going to engage in life-changing things. And the reason I stand in this job is to do life-changing things. Because as human beings, we're our brother's keepers. And we must ensure that we leave a better world for the next generation. Thank you for everything, and thank you for this time. We're going to make Eswatini even greater than it is today. I'm not a MAGA person. Thank you.
Wow. Wow. How moving was that address? You know, as the Honorable Minister was speaking, I'm reminded of the work that I do on a daily basis. For those of you that don't know, I work in the newsroom, Eswatini TV, as a broadcast presenter. And so I have this opportunity of interviewing members of parliament and, you know, thought leaders and change makers. And as she speaks, how she premises her speech, she speaks on seeing that we need to restore dignity within our people in Eswatini. And I'm reminded of the universal premise of being a member of parliament. Literally, all their unique portfolios, their files, as it were, speak to service delivery to the people. Unique as they are, they just speak to service delivery to the people. And it's moving to see a person and the whole ministry that is intentional about service delivery. So I want us to, once again, a warm round of applause, just, you know, for that. Important. We are getting into a very important part of our program, a critical conversation, revolutionizing public service delivery. How do we leverage technology to create systems that are faster, smarter, and more inclusive? And I like the word inclusive. I really like it. It speaks to also what the Honorable Minister was speaking to. Because in this conversation, there's a digital divide that we are trying to breach, the growing divide on the adoption of technologies. And for the most part, right now, there's artificial intelligence, where there's also, again, a discrepancy. Let's breach that. All of that technology. The risk that becomes obvious there is the two-speed growth, the risk of increasing the dependencies, unhealthy dependencies. We speak about dignity. That has been spoken to, quite frankly. We're going to be joined by an esteemed panel right now that is going to bring expertise that bridges imagination with execution. So please join me once again in welcoming our moderator and this powerhouse of thought leaders.
To our esteemed guest, a very good morning. A very good morning. I know we have been all probably inspired by the Honorable Minister of ICT speech. For one, I am puzzled by the things that she shared with us. As a citizen of this nation, I'm quite looking forward to the brighter future of Eswatini. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us on this conversation or discussion on transforming public service delivery through technological innovations. So I am Lucky Stole from the Royal Science and Technology Park, and I will be a moderator for this particular session. So it's gonna be a very interesting session. As our program director has said, that we ought to really have a truthful discussion in terms of how to leverage technology to enhance public service delivery. So with us today, we have exceptional panel of experts that will share with us their expertise, their insights on how technology can really enhance public service delivery in Eswatini. So I think, ladies and gentlemen, would you help me welcome our panelists? So we have Mr. Bongadlanga, who is the Director, eGov, under Ministry of ICT. We also have Mr. Tembingosi Lamini, Executive Director of Kango. And lastly, we have Innocent Gambule, Senior Manager of ICT from Eswatini Water Service Corporation. So from probably the panel that we have just invited, we can already see that these are people who are decision makers every day. So I can't wait to get their share or their insight in terms of how really technology can enhance public service delivery. So with that, I would join with them to share their insight. One, two. So when I was invited to be a moderator, I think at first when I saw their profiles, I was very, I felt a little bit of anxiety to say these are very prominent people. But today I've been given the task, which is to pose some questions to them. So with that, I have the confidence to guide this particular session. So maybe before we even delve into our questions for this session, I would love to give each of our panelists just some few seconds to introduce themselves to our audience.
Good morning, and all protocol observed. My name is Bongadlanga from the Ministry of ICT, Director for e-Government. Thank you.
Yes, good morning. My name is Tembingosi Lamini. I'm the Executive Director for Kango. We are the organization that coordinate all NGOs in the country and typically represent civil society.
Good morning, all protocol observed. My name is Innocent Mkombe. I'm the Senior Manager ICT at Eswatini Water Services Corporation.
Well, thank you so much. I think we can give them a round of applause. I think our discussion today, we can start probably, or can be focused to Mr. Ndlanga as a foundational question. I think the Minister, the Program Director, all this partnership that we are witnessing today speaks on the use of technology, what Google presented here, the endless opportunities that as government we can tap into in order to enhance our service delivery to all Eswatini. So I think Eswatini has recently developed a new digital strategy, which is themed government in your hand, which is for the period 2024 to 2028. So probably, Mr. Ndlanga, you were one of the team members in that project. I think for the benefit of the audience, could you please share with us some of the key aspects on this strategy and its main deliverables over the next period of 3 years.
Okay, thank you, moderator. When the minister came, that's November 2023, so it's about a little above 12 months from now. The first thing that we did was to sit down and see where we are and then forge a way forward. And that's where we came up with a strategy, the one that we call now government in your hand. So from 2024 to 2028. So basically we are saying we want to bring government to the people through technology. So that is basically the simplest explanation of it. We are saying all the government services that are placed at various ministries, they should now be transformed into online platforms. We are targeting a one-stop access to e-government services through a web portal and a mobile app. And we are saying we will make use of OTP chatbots, where we will make use of USSD to support those platforms. And we are saying also, because we need to bridge the digital divide, we know our landscape in Eswatini, we still have people who are living in rural areas where some of these technologies are not there. So we are saying we will also provide self-service platforms at Ingundleni, post offices, public libraries, and other public areas, to say those that can't access the government on their mobile devices, they can still visit their nearest institution and get those services. And we are saying under this strategy, we want to also enhance on payment platforms, to say we want to unlock the limitation to pay for government services. And I'll speak about it today. We already witnessed through the Google partnership that already there is a platform that we can tap into, Google Pay. So basically we are saying this is the platform that we will bring, and already the minister committed through her speech that in the next 12 months we must have a delivered product to the citizens of Eswatini. So that is what we are delivering right now. And then there are issues of infrastructure. For instance, we need to deal with some fundamental pillars, which is your infrastructure and devices, your innovation, your applications, what you will be doing with Google and RSTP and a lot of other partners. We will strengthen our policies and our legal frameworks to make sure that when we are in the digital space, there are no loopholes. We'll make sure that every transaction is protected, even in terms of the law. And then we also talk about some fundamental building blocks that we will be implementing now in the immediate space. We are talking of the electronic ID. We are already doing the preliminaries. We will be implementing it in the budget cycle 2025-2026. We are saying, because when we provide services to the citizens, we need to know who you are. We need to be sure, and we need to be we need to make sure that it's the right person, and the service is secured as well. So we are also talking of public key infrastructure that we have to provide for electronic signatures and so on. We are also have started now with our partners integrating our systems, talking of interoperability. We are saying all these systems that are existing, which are siloed, we need to make sure that they are integrated so that it is seamless. I don't have to go to each ministry and present myself. I just have to register once, and I have access to all government services. So basically, that is what we want to in the strategy. Then now, as I conclude, I will say now, through the Google partnership, we are saying we are looking into a lot of things that Google already offers, but because I'm a government person, I will focus on the document workspace to say, yes, that is what we, because that is speaking to civil servants, that's speaking to efficient government service. So we are saying we will tap into the workspace. We will make sure that all our processes are secure, all our processes are efficient and effective for giving out service to the public. And then e-services as well, digital payments, national addressing, they've mentioned here. So we are saying through the Google partnership, we are looking forward to a great digital transformation. Thank you, moderator.
We can clap hands. Indeed, big words from the director eGov. I think for me, I'm quite inspired by the plan that this strategy unfolds, especially for the interest of Eswatini. I think everyone who hears what you have just said right now, indeed, he can agree that the future of this nation has become more brighter. And we thank our partners that are here with us to ensure that all that the ministry has put in the pipeline comes into fruition. So that gives us a very good, excellent framework, Mr. Dlamini. Basically, for building on what we have heard when Director eGov talked about government in your hand, I think one of the question that probably intrigues most of us is that on whose hands, probably that would have to be answered, but the simple answer to that is to all hands or to all Eswatini, as the Minister of ICT alluded in her speech, that all hands or all people must have these services. So with that in mind, regarding digital inclusion, we know our communities are diverse. We have rural areas, we have underserved communities. What strategies can be implemented to ensure that these digital services are accessible to all hands?
Yes, thank you, moderator. I think the very important aspect would be designing these services with the people and our businesses in mind. Importantly, the fact that we do think that to restore dignity to our people, they do deserve amazing public services, as it were. And that also means that we need to have a very productive civil service, which is ready to serve the public in a seamless and inclusive way. So importantly, so we think that some of the things that have been happening that is making our public service not to be very effective, there's a lot of time wastage. For instance, talking about applying for a passport, you need to fill in some forms, and then you go and photocopy your birth certificate and go and certify it with the police and everything to give it to the department that produces the birth certificate, that probably has it in the machine in front of them, and then they are confirming the details as you give them. So those are some of the challenges that we are having. So we need to have a situation where the data that is collected, not only in government, but also in civil society organizations that are public-facing, serving society overall, in businesses. The data need not be siloed. It needs to be exchanged in a trusted platform, which needs to be facilitated by the government, such as the initiative that we are launching today, to ensure that we do not make our people reproduce again and again the same data to different aspects of public-facing organization. When we are talking about the data that is sitting at EWSC next to me here, Revenue Authority, then EEC, the data should really be integrated with the government data, so that when, for instance, they punch in my national ID, immediately some of the information becomes available. I do not need to reproduce it or even go to my chief to ask for a letter to confirm again and again that indeed I'm a citizen and a resident in that area, and then they make me to pay 200 Malangen. The challenge with this is that when we are looking at innovation for purposes of growth, it is important that we look at the aspect of transaction costs more importantly. In the past, my aunt used to leave Gakupuga to come to Manzini to do just about anything, and that trip used to cost about 100 Malangen. Nowadays, they are able to access their 500 Malangen grant in a shop nearby with Momo, and then that cost 3 Malangen. There is a lot that my aunt now does with the 97 Malangen that remains. For instance, they are now able to pay for their funeral cover with the Instacash, 15 Malangeni, and it means they are able to do that, and then they are able to add the data on their phone and all of those things. So it becomes important that we also look at all this data in a way that we can use it to influence our policy development. We cannot have this data just for the sake of having the data, but we need to make sure that it feeds into proactive research planning and decision making by government in the academic communities as well as the civil society communities. We also need to ensure that we pay attention to these issues of risk and fraud detection and prevention, because we are receiving reports that our elderly, they get dispossessed of their measly grants by some members of the community that need to assist them. So listening at this initiative, we can see that more biometric system that will ensure that once an elderly person is enrolled, they can secure any transactions that happen on those platforms, and that they can only be the people who are able to utilize the amounts that are allocated to them. In 2021, we had a scenario in the country where there was a civil unrest. We couldn't exchange information, and as a result, there was a lot of loss of life and property and things like that. So we need to think clearly about what kind of event-driven data needs to be produced by which stakeholder and when, and then we're able to share that data in real time so that people are able to take the actions that are required to protect their property and lives, etc. So in a way, I would say the issue of considering the data assets that we have in all our hands and how we can utilize those assets for innovation and growth is important. But secondly, how do we share the data across the board so that each of our entities can benefit? Thank you.
Lovely said. I think from what probably Mr. Dlamini has said is quite a lot of insightful things. I think our government official has to take into consideration. He has also mentioned the amount of data that has to be shared across all stakeholders, and government has to be the one who facilitates that so that they will be the one who bridge the gap much, much, much easier. And also he touched on the issue of security to say for our elder people, maybe we can also look at systems that do integrate biometrics. I, for one, who is an elderly person at home, my mom, everything on the phone, he will ask either us or his grandchildren or her grandchildren to create anything for him. And that sort of opens up sort of like a loophole for someone to cipher whatever that they would do on her behalf. So maybe coming up with such kinds of mechanism to ensure that those data that we will now accumulate on the cyberspace is not accessed by the wrong people. I think that again gives us a lot of insight into moving forward into making all this government service available digitally. So to move on to Mr. Mkombe, I'm sure your experience at Eswatini Water Service Corporation is quite a lot. So probably how can you assist, or how can government better collaborate with the private sector to accelerate technology adoption? Because I think some of our speakers have already said that there's a lot of time wasting. And the minister has already said that this is the year of action. So how can the private sector collaborate, or government collaborate with the private sector to accelerate this technology adoption?
Thanks, Lucky. Maybe let me start off by highlighting the key drivers to accelerate technology adoption in general. So you're looking at one of them being infrastructure readiness. How ready is the infrastructure? And we're looking at critical enablers like your reliable internet connectivity. You're looking at the energy infrastructure, because every other equipment needs to be powered. Your telecommunications and all of that. You're also looking at a key driver for technology adoption being the population readiness, the consumers of that service, level of digital literacy in the country. You're looking at how tech-savvy is the population to actually consume or adopt the technology. My colleague has talked about affordability aspect of it. The one other thing that becomes key is building confidence in terms of data safety, privacy, and reliability of the technology itself to sort of drive the adoption. Now, how can government foster successful collaborations with private sector? One of the things that government can actually look into is establishing structured collaboration models for projects. So when government provides infrastructure, they can actually tap into private sector, tap into businesses, because those are the institutions that have lots of expertise. They've got lots of, there's lots of innovation that goes in there. So while government provides infrastructure and resources, the private sector can actually bring expertise and innovation into that space to see those projects through. The issue of shared vision becomes important as well. You want to ensure that there's alignment between government objectives and private sector goals. So what happens is that when private sector conducts their day-to-day duties and most likely achieve their objectives, you know they also feed into the overall government objectives as well. So it's important to have that alignment, that shared vision as well, as we foster collaboration with private sector. The issue of privacy, security, and equity, addressing those concerns, it becomes important for government to collaborate with private sector, particularly in setting guidelines for responsible technology use, so that you build the confidence in terms of safety of the data, safety of the information security aspect of it, and also bringing equity. We may easily focus on private sector only, and maybe leave the other important sort of stakeholders in this whole technology space, which is the academia. In relation to skills development, we can tap into academia, particularly for making sure that we provide upskilling and reskilling programs that will actually improve the level of digital literacy in the country, and everyone can actually tap into technology, and we see accelerated adoption in that space.
Thank you. I think as a follow-up question would be, maybe you can share with us some of the digital solutions that Water has implemented especially in regard to enhance customer service and engagement?
Yeah, thanks, Lucky. We have implemented quite a number of innovative digital solutions to enhance service delivery and also engagement with our customers. I think one of them is the self-service mobile application, where we allow our customers to actually interact with us with that mobile app from onboarding up to offboarding. So your service applications, they can actually do them on the mobile app. The entire customer management, bill payments, meter reading functions, and fault reporting, self-meter reading even. So all of that is available on the. So in a nutshell, we're basically saying there's absolutely no need for our customers to walk into our service centers for anything, but they can leverage on the mobile application for any service application. We recently launched our lovely chatbot, Temandi, and we're really seeing an uptake of customers in relation to that chatbot. We're seeing over 5,000 interactions per month now. It's fairly new, but we're really seeing that uptake. Again, we allow our customers to interact with us regardless of the time of the day. And customers can download their statements, they can do fault reporting, they can check their balances, conduct payments without actually engaging with a human agent. But of course, we for complex queries, we do allow a speak to an agent sort of functionality. We have introduced USSD as well, where most of our customers can actually do fault reporting, balance checks as well, and do self-meter reading and all of that. We have partnered with a lot of the financial institutions, telco, mobile operators, with regards to make it easy for customers to pay us. And those strategic partnerships are actually helping a lot. We're seeing, I must say, as we speak, we're sitting at 65% of our customers interacting with us through digitally, and only at 35% would be walk-in customers to our service centers. Maybe just to touch on other innovative digital platforms that are more inward-looking, to say, we do have digital platform. We've leveraged on digital platforms that actually help us monitor our entire network in terms of minimum night flows. We detect leaks. We monitor and control pressure in our network, so that at least we know we can sort of promise the 99% service delivery to our customers when we deliver our product. So I will end there for now.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mkombe. I think one of the things that Mr. Dlamini said was with regard to developing the solutions with the people. And I think we applaud Water for most of the innovative solutions that probably were a result of some of the complaints in terms of their customers. I, for one, have used the chatbot Temandi. It's very insightful in terms of giving you the service that you want without having to leave my comfortable space to get a statement. And we really hope our government can also learn from some of the parastatals, such as the Water Service Corporation. I think the chatbot for me is one key aspect that I wish government can also introduce, because sometimes the USSD, you end up even forgetting what they are and what they actually do. But if you do have those chatbots, you can probably even revisit the history to check how to access the services. So we really hope some of the advancement that other entities have implemented, also even government at government level, would help them. So we're almost towards the end of our session. And at this point, I wouldn't want to further deliberate on more questions, I would love to probably open the floor for questions to our audience. If they are, technology already playing its role. So I think let's probably take in these online questions that we have. So the first question is, government in your hand, what are the specific services that shall be enabled by 31st December 2025? I think that goes to Mr. Ndlangamandla. Specific services that you probably project that in December 2025, 31st, they will be available. And another question is, has the ministry considered funding students who are leaving the country to study programs like applied AI, since opening a local academy will take time? Not sure who will probably answer that, but probably Mr. Ndlangamandla can attempt. What plans does the ministry have to train ordinary sources on how to use the government in your hand platform? Any measures, another question, any measures in place, such as independent firewalls and other security protocols to protect our private data from potential future threats? I don't know if we can attempt maybe the first five. I'll read these two, and then we can try to probably give our panelists to attempt to give us an answer. So another question from our audience is, has the ministry considered helping locals monetize platforms like YouTube, given that many create content but are not compensated for it? And the last question that I will take for this session is, how will this new partnership combat the high rate of corruption? I assume corruption in the country. So I think maybe going a little bit up for Mr. Ndlangamandla to attempt the first one. Can you please help us? So government in your hand, and some of the questions that probably fall in your space, Mr. Ndlangamandla, can you help us with the answer?
Okay. Thank you, moderator. I'm thinking if I'll be very specific here, but what we are doing in the next 12 months is to develop a group of services that we will give to the public. Our strategy is to focus on on-demand services. So I think with our partners and RSTP, who are our main developers, we will identify the main services. I'll just give an overview to say these are the services that we are earmarked. We have earmarked for rolling out in our first, because this year we will introduce the e-services portal. So when we introduce the e-services portal, already we will have services with it. We have earmarked services from Home Affairs, that is application of your passport IDs, certificates, and so on. And we are looking also at services from Ministry of Commerce, that is registering, renewing your registration for a business and renewing your licenses. Then we are also looking at social security services. That is a DPMO, where you are applying for grants. And then also we have the Ministry of Labor and Social Security, where you apply for scholarship. At least for scholarship, we already have the scholarship portal. So, but then we also have to move on to also making seamless distribution of the scholarship support. So those are the main services that we are looking to introduce. They are going to be the first in the platform. At the same time, with Google as well, I've already mentioned that the government workspace, it has to be implemented. this year. So we will work, we'll improve government efficiency through the workspace, as well as we are looking at improve, because some of these solutions we are in engagement with the different ministries, like your fleet management. We are still engaging to say, can you start with them and so on. So yeah, then the other one which I mentioned was the EID with the biometrics. So that one is the fundamental. We will be doing it now. Maybe the issue of funding for students leaving the country. I may not be in a very good space to say what opportunities do we provide, but what we are doing, which we have said here, is to invite academies to come and set up into the country. As the Minister of ICT, that's our focus. But those who are leaving the country, then I'll say government will have to refocus. That is the Minister of Labor and Social Security. Refocus to say, I think they've been doing it already, to say if you are studying science, technology, then you are priority. But probably there are other sectors where they don't offer scholarships anymore. So I think that we can say the Minister of Labor will take care. And then plans to have a ministry train ordinary resources on how to use the government in your hand. Yes, of course, we are going to roll out a training plan. In fact, right now, we do train civil servants occasionally. And we also train citizens through a library training services. There's a library training program where we offer training to all the old-aged and people living in the rural areas. So that one will have to increase the volumes. And we'll use also our media, Swazi TV, EBIS, to provide that training. More than anything, we have partnered on the digital training. We have partnered with the UAE government, and already there are a lot of capacity building workshops, training programs that they are offered. Maybe one to share will be the coding school that will provide coding lessons to about 150 young students from primary and high school. So that's a program that's going to happen this 2025. Issues of independent firewall security protocol, I will say that is assignment to RSTP. They will make sure that they provide all the technology related to our security. Otherwise, we do have ESCOM, who is a regulator in the data protection space. They will also make sure that RSTP complies with that. So can I just end there for now? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dlagamandla. I think it looks like you are put on the spotlight, yet some of these questions could be also be answered by the government stakeholders that are present with us here, and probably some of them would even be answered in the later probably session that will be here. So maybe to either Mr. Kombe or Mr. Dlamini, I don't know if you can attempt how this partnership with Google try to combat the high rate of corruption. I don't know if we can attempt that one.
Yes, I think it's a very interesting question, because I think corruption is becoming endemic in the kingdom. Almost to receive any particular public service, you need to pay someone to jump the queue, which sometimes make it impossible for some of our elderly and marginalized community to access services, because once people jump the queue, someone will come at some point and say, look, we are only going to be attending you on the next day, which then doubles the transaction cost, as it were. But if we go the digitalization route, we do know, first of all, that we can then use the the queue system can be done online so that people only turn up at the office on the date when they are supposed to be served at a particular point in time. And then also it helps us to remove the human element and the discretionary power of some human being deciding whether you are going to be served today or the next day. But it also means that we need to be deliberate when we're creating these platforms, for there to be a platform for people to record their experiences when they receive the public services, including when they are expected to pay an inducement fee to someone to receive the service. And then we need to be sure that action is being taken against those officials that are having this particular practice, and that on a time-to-time basis we receive reports on what has been happening. If we do that, I think that will also act as a deterrent to some of the officials to say, well, I can induce the person to pay me today, but I'm risking my job on the other hand, and therefore I should desist from doing that, even if the person is offering to do that. I think some of the time that is wasted is the rent-seeking behavior amongst the public serving civil servants sometimes, whereby they will make you to do the runaround just so that they increase the chances that you become frustrated and offer a payment. So those are the things that we want to remove. If we digitalize, we need to see a reduction in those instances. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I think we have taken note of what you have said. Probably also maybe to add on that, I think government maybe can also look into a whistleblower platform as we digitalize. So to encourage anyone out there to report any corruption, probably they are witnessing firsthand. I think maybe we will take the next two questions. I hope they are the last two in the interest of our time. So the first one says, what will be the technology implementation cost and subsequent cost-saving opportunities be for government, and will this be passed to the consumer, and how? And the second one is, the Eswatini Water Service Corporation has automated a lot of their customer services, which is very much commendable. Are the applications developed in-house, sourced locally, or foreign produced? I think we'll start with that one.
All right. Thanks, Lucky. So we were intentional about empowering locals. We had, I think when we embarked on that project, we had quite a number of service providers coming from outside the country, but we opted to use a local company for the development of the mobile app. So it is developed locally, and all the enhancements that you see on a regular basis are all coming in from local.
Thank you. I think Mr. Langamandla, in terms of the cost, how... In terms of the cost, will the cost be passed to the consumer, or it will be shared, or government will take on in all the cost of implementing some of these technological advancements?
Okay, I think to answer this one will be to say, now doing this transformation is capital intensive. So government is aware that we have to invest quite big to make sure that this transformation takes place. And secondly, our minister also put the notion of speed to say we don't have to take too long. So that's why we are bringing in partners as well. So, but government's nature is government is not a business. So we are not in the business of making money, which means we have to invest, and we have to make sure that our services, they don't cost too much. So even though some of our services are paid for, but they should be as minimal as possible. So basically that means government has to make sure they invest to make sure that these services are there and they are easily accessible and cheap to the citizen. If it was possible, they should be free to all citizens.
Thank you, Director. I think we are very much happy to hear your response, to say not that these services will have to be paid by us who are users of these solutions. I think with the interest of time, can we probably allow the questions to come in, and then later maybe there will be some way of responding to the audience on how some of their queries or their interest or questions will be answered. So this probably marks the end of our session, and before we end, I would probably request, or once again, to thank our panelists for their valuable insights. And as we conclude, I would request each one of them to share one key takeaway for the future of public service delivery in Eswatini. I've forgotten to ask the floor if they, yeah? Oh, there's a question.
I said, thank you for looking this way for a change. I've been trying to get attention for a while. Firstly, my name is Eswatini Lamini. Obviously, Okay, I don't have a microphone. It doesn't work. Okay, I'll stand up. First of all, I just want to say thank you for looking this way. I think it would have been remiss of me not to say a comment, especially during what I think is the biggest gig in town. This is what this event, why don't you turn it on? Oh, it's on. It's quintessentially the biggest gig in town. Firstly, I just want to recognize the president of the private sector who's here, for Selelo, and also the host, Brightwell. But also to say on behalf of the private sector, thank you to Basil, Ayas. What a nice name. It's got this street credibility attached to it. But secondly, to make a comment on what the Honorable Minister said before she left. Because if she was preaching, I would have been the first one to go to the altar call and say, please count me in. Her sheer sincerity of heart, her vision for the future on this, what I think is a critical competitive pillar for this country going forward, I had to really start asking myself, is this happening to us? Just being proud that somebody has decided to go to the future and come back to us today and then begin to implement what the private sector has been preaching about for years. And I'm saying this because, first of all, we all know that where I come from, the private sector, it's all about competition and competitive advantage. And whoever is first to market. And ICT is the key pillar for competitive advantage nationally. Second of all, and I think the minister touched upon this, if you look at the future of work, and they've been saying this for the past 10 years, change is coming. Prepare yourself now. And is driven by ICT. Countries, prepare yourself now. If you don't, you will find your employees without jobs. if you don't begin now. At least if you cannot stay ahead of the curve, stay in tandem with it, at least. And today, let the record show, this is the biggest gig in town in this country. And I'm saying this well aware that a hop, skip, and a jump from here, there is a cabinet retreat. And I'm hoping that as part of their achievements, when they open the bell, they say, this is the biggest achievement I think government has ever achieved in a very, very long time. And we are very, very proud. And I just want all of us to give the minister and the ministry a big hand of applause. And to say, I know that you're talking about public sector. By the way, there is no public sector without a private sector. The public sector lives because there is a private sector. So whatever you're looking at, please do not be unmindful of the private sector as an enabler of progress as well. In your services, I know it's government services, but Google now is in town. We want to also talk to them to see how we can collaborate, and hopefully government will pay for that. You know. But that said, ladies and gentlemen, I just, mine on behalf of my president and the private sector is to just say, well done, government. For the first time, I happily and openly congratulate a government ministry. And I think it's a good day today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. My parting shot, as the moderator has asked us to close, is to probably say we are excited for the event and we are looking forward to delivering our promise as the Minister of ICT. I'll just maybe take this opportunity to request your support because we really need your support as the stakeholders here. We see also we have legislators here. We need their support as well. As for me, I'm almost at the center of this whole thing, and I don't sleep since the coming of the minister. I have not been sleeping, and probably I'll start sleeping once we have something that we can show to the public. So thank you so much, and we are looking forward.
Yes, thank you, moderator. I think I also agree with Inati, it's the biggest gig in town. Of course, when we're looking at our population of 1.2 million and all the agreements that we have signed as the nation, such as the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, with digitalization, it means we can also be first at market in all of those markets. So Google, don't look at us as this small dot because we have access to the rest of the world given this new innovation. But of course, there are other outstanding issues, such as the question of reliability of our network infrastructure and also the cost, especially to our youth and marginalized communities. I certainly do think at some point we need to have that kind of discussion to say, if we are to leave no one behind, make sure that we are not creating another gap, then what it is that we need to do to ensure that at least some platforms are easily accessible and more affordable, especially those that deal with public services, education, and entrepreneurial platforms for use by youth persons. So that we do not have a situation where, of course, we have this big infrastructure in place now, but the people are not benefiting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think for me, again, I would like to congratulate government on this milestone. I think it's a lovely journey to embark on. And also just to mention that businesses have actually evolved, and yesterday's problems are no longer the same as today's problems. So we can no longer afford as business, as private sector, as regulatory authorities to solve today's problems with yesterday's logic. So yes, it's quite important that we're embarking on this journey. Thanks.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. As my parting words, it would be probably to echo on the plea that government has to say, let us work together to build the future of Eswatini. I think the minister mentioned that we are the first to partner with Google in Africa. I think that gives us an opportunity to put our country as a benchmark for other governments in Africa to say we aspire from what Eswatini has done. So with that, can we give a round of applause as our panelists take their seats? Thank you.
Wow. Feels great to be the program director for the biggest gig in town. Do you know what? A lot of salient points that were articulated here, but I do want to double back to the numbers. And I'm not a numbers guy, but I'm happy we have people that work in tech here, and I know they're really good with numbers. Mr. Mkombe spoke on the adoption of their services at water services, and he pronounced numbers. He spoke on 65% of their subscribers who use their services digitally. And this is not a game. I would really love your assistance here. I can see Jose. I know you're really good with numbers. Please help me calculate the possible subscribers for Eswatini Water Services Corporation from our population. So I want us to be conservative. Let us not be too ambitious and say all the 1.3 million people in Eswatini are subscribers there. Typically, it can't be everyone. But let's be conservative and estimate that 70% of Eswatini's population uses water services. I want us to calculate how many digital customers that will be in a moment. Jose, I know you're calculating, I can see. Is anyone else helping us calculate? I can hear someone. What is that? Oh, I can also see Mr. Mvuselelo Fagutse, and yeah, I'm sure you've calculated. You don't even need a calculator. I'm sure you have the answer already. Mr. Brightwell, your numbers guy as well. Jose, do you have the answer? How many digital customers? There we are. Sorry, what's that? 572,000. That is nearly half the population of Eswatini. I'm highlighting this because this event is premised on digital adoption. And so I think it sort of validates that Emaswati are really ready to adopt tech services. So many Emaswati, 65%, over 500,000. We are being conservative. We hope it is more than 500,000. So this event really is the biggest gig in town, and it's such an honor to experience such a great milestone. Let's continue with our program. We do have panel number 2, Gugu's permission. All right, anyway, our focus is going to widen now and look at how innovation propels economic growth, from enabling small businesses to expanding Eswatini's digital and global footprint. We have another panel that is going to explore the transformative impact of technology on our economy. We want to drill down into, again, there are individual files, as it were, because obviously there's an undeniable fact at play here. We are fated to all hop on the bandwagon or the tech adoption train. And so that compels all of us to listen to this next really smart panel that is going to really help us understand this next topic of conversation. So let's welcome our second moderator and our panelists for this panel discussion. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Sanbonan. When you're sitting in the front row, you can hardly fathom that you have so many people behind you. I'm shocked. So I'm getting overwhelmed a little bit. My name is Musgai Dube. I work with the Eswatini National Industrial Development Corporation as the managing director there. I have been invited here to be the moderator for this session. Partly because this is also a very important aspect of our job to support innovation at grassroots level. Can I invite my panelists to join me here? I have the MTN FinTech CEO. Mr. Samgel is so, am I right? Can we just confirm the name? Mr. Samgel is so Shongwe. Can I invite him to come here? I have also the chief economist, Jose Rigo from UNDP. And then I will have Then I'll have Mr. Dendesa Simpiwe to come and join the panel here. He's a technology is playing. Hello, hello. Good morning, gentlemen. I think we needed to dilute a bit. I'm feeling a bit intimidated. I was expecting there to be a lady here, but we'll give the opportunity to the ladies in the questions and answer session. Ask as many questions so that we can prove that we can give you the answers. Today, ladies and gentlemen, my great panelists, we are here talking about the role of innovation for economic prosperity. I think it's giving us an idea of the broadness of your discussion and contribution to this topic. And we are looking at you as people that are going to give us a feel of what perspective you have from your places of work, and how you actually view this assignment to innovate or to improve innovation and support innovation for the growth of the economy. We are privileged to have this panelist, US panelist, to bring this unique perspective, and I believe in your expertise as well. And I know that together you will help us unpack the opportunities and challenges that we also have ahead of us, and giving us, of course, actionable strategies that can be employed to harness the innovation and to catalyze the economic growth. Our first panelist will be, perhaps, I think to be concise, let me allow you to give us your introductions as you connect to the topic today, so that we have a full picture of how you view it, and probably also then we'll hook in from there. Thank you very much. Can I start with you, Mr. Rego?
Thank you, Mzomba. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am very pleased and honored and excited to be here today. My name is Jose Rego, and I am excited about this opportunity because I'm not here seated as myself in representation, but I'm representing a community of innovators. Over 100 people are innovating as we speak, plus in our society. This is the Innovators Association of Eswatini. It was established in 2014 through a joint partnership between UNDP, our government, and the academic space as well as the private sector. The vision back then was that innovation must not be held in silos but passed around and given to the youth to participate and be empowered themselves. So this has been a long journey, and it culminates today in this moment that I'm here representing, and I want to thank that opportunity, and I'll share our insights as a community on this panel discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rotse. Our second introduction will come from the MTN FinTech CEO, Samgeliso.
Morning, moderator. Morning, everyone. Was it still morning? Yeah, it is.
It is, yeah.
I have been christened Samgeliso this morning, but my name is Sam. If you want the full name, is Samuel Shongwe. Lelinye Ngudumsan. So thank you, and thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here. I'm excited to be here, and congratulations to ICT, our government, and the country as a whole. It definitely is the biggest gig in town. It feels like the rodeo is in Swaziland, and we have a new sheriff for ICT. So we are here to support and see how we can build and support everyone in terms of the nation at large. Thank you.
My sincere apologies, Mr. Shong. I thought I know you as a different, with the same name. So I was confused to see somebody different. So I have to be accurate because I've been given my notes here. Okay, the last introduction will come from Mr. Ntenteza. Please give us your introduction, sir.
Nyamatan. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. I'm here representing the Royal Science and Technology Park, Mr. Simpiwe Ndendesa, and thank you very much to the Ministry for organizing such a very wonderful event, although it's quite difficult to speak after the Minister, and especially all the people that have been standing here and the panelists that was actually here. But I'm looking forward to the deliberations and discussions moderate.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ntendesa. Ladies and gentlemen, from the understanding the influence of multinational partnerships and fostering financial inclusion, we need to examine the transformative power of digital ecosystems and the skills that are needed. Of course, I think it has come out in the presentations that we've had ahead. There is skills that we will need to actually harness and be effective players in the implementation of the innovation. And I want to throw a question to Mr. Shongwe, who is coming from MTN FinTech, to actually help us understand what role the multinational companies will play in stimulating the economic growth in small economies. And small economies, I think, that's what we are tagged as. And please give us your view on the opportunities that Eswatini stand to benefit from the partnerships of such companies as big as Google and maybe MTN. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dube. Certainly, as I said earlier, it's very exciting to have such a big player like Google in the country. There could be your normal textbook answer around what does FDI mean in any country in terms of if you have a new player, a multinational player in the country, what benefits do you get? It's standard, but I would like to probably keep my response to be as practical as possible and talk to us in Eswatini. Definitely the key benefits of multinationals is normally around the investment that they make. It is said that, I think the World Bank says, in growing economies, direct investment that comes in can increase your GDP by between 1%, 1.5% to 2% annually because of the benefits that come with the investments that come in. The first thing that we always look at, we're looking at job creation. We're looking at skill transfers. And definitely with a partnership like Google, definitely we're looking at skills transfers. Mr. Dlangamandla did mention some of the things that will be done by the government, so I will not go into that. But would like to maybe dwell more around the opportunities for the country in terms of having such a big partner like Google. Coming from a fintech space, for us, we are seeing more in terms of the public service, data-driven decision-making. We will always talk about decentralization. When you talk decentralization, let's go back to Ekaya, Etingundleni, and so forth. But if we actually have technology, that would be much easier for us to be able to do that, and it will be very cost-effective. The example that was made by Mr. Dlamini around going to Manzini or to town, paying 100 Malangeni, now you can do things and save 97 and do other things. So in my view is that if we can get the platforms and programs within government in all the departments to embrace the technology that we're talking about here, we will be having an opportunity to actually have a conversation with the citizens of this country without actually having to gather physically. We collect data. We ensure that people are actually able to pay and transact on public service matters, your health sector, agricultural sector. So from that space, it's where we have actually come in as MTN FinTech, mainly using one of our pillars, which is the payment side. So when you talk FinTech, there are many pillars that we're talking about. All we're talking about right now is the wallet. We want to move more into your e-commerce and so forth. So I think this creates an opportunity. The other opportunity that I'm particularly interested in when we talk about Google is the YouTube aspect. We are seeing our partners or countries in Africa. I think we have about 17 countries in the whole of Africa that are sitting in the eligible region, which is basically means you can monetize the content that goes onto your YouTube and so forth. In Southern Africa, we only have South Africa, Zimbabwe. I think there's another country I'm missing. But there's basically like 3. Then if you move up, you've got your Ugandas who are in eligible regions where they can actually monetize, or Mozambique as well. They can actually monetize the content. And if you look at us having about 60% is youth and high employment, people are now creating jobs sitting at home. And they can do a lot of stuff in terms of the content that they have, but they can't get paid because they cannot connect to the AdSense, which is basically your advertising platform that enables you to make money sitting at home. So there are the public sector benefits that we can talk about, but I think it's one thing to ensure that we are providing service to the people, but ensure that they're able to participate. So I'm interested in seeing how we can actually grow this further from just the public sector to us benefiting in terms of the small businessmen on the streets, getting access to global markets, because you have a global partner, which means now you are able to accept payments and you are able to actually have e-commerce, a marketplace that's global, and you are actually able to export your goods and be able to take payments in different currencies, because now you have a partner like Google Pay that you can actually receive your payments through. So I think basically, in a nutshell, I wanted to just talk to things that I think are practical for us, but there's definitely a lot of things that we can do with this partnership. The AI and innovative solutions that Google comes up with are things that will definitely develop us in terms of the agricultural sector, the health sector, smart cities, and so forth. So I think there's a lot of opportunities. Maybe my parting shot would be, our key focus now is that we have it here. What is our plan around execution? Because most times strategy is good, but execution becomes a challenge. So we need to be very deliberate and focused around that. And also, let's not let government be the ones that are just leading it, but the private sector needs to come in and see how they can actually assist in building the future for us and our kids. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Shong. I really love the way you've been intervening, but somehow I want you to be specific a bit now, if you may. If you can help us to understand what innovative solutions that FinTech MTN is exploring for further support to the small businesses and informal traders, and also what we are doing to further ensure financial inclusion. If you can just give us a brief outline or highlight.
Okay. Yeah, so financial inclusion, I think I'm very passionate about that, and I'm happy that I lead an organization that is a huge player in that space. Also, when you talk about financial inclusion, what we know, if you look at some of the stats in terms of what the World Bank says, it says in countries where MTN operates, we have actually contributed to about 25% in financial inclusion, which is basically financial participation among previously unbanked individuals. Once they're able to do that, they can also have economic inclusion. So when we look at our role in society, the key thing that comes to mind is, how do we actually inculcate a culture of participation from grassroots to the top? We say as MTN, one of our key missions is to ensure that everyone has a bright future and everyone deserves connectivity. So from the connectivity element, we do have our cell phones, we have our devices, but how do we actually ensure that people participate in that? This is how MTN FinTech has actually played a role in this. I have mentioned that there is a wallet. The wallet is basically to facilitate payments. Going forward, we have established that in the country, but what we need to do now is to increase the value of things that can be done on the platform, so increase the ecosystem. So, which basically is saying to us, we are now working on expanding the financial services on the platform. And to be specific, we are looking at areas around tailored financial service products in the lending space. How do we ensure that someone who does not have a bank account has access to finances through their mobile phone? So we are currently offering consumer-led products. We have microloans, small loans for consumers, but the next step is, how do we then ensure that Gogo Mavuso from Lavomisa is able to get funding for her business? Because we need to make it practical. While she's at home, she gets money, capital. There is a soccer match coming to Lavomisa. I need capital for the weekend. Those are nano loans that can actually improve that person's life. They apply for that loan. They are able to increase their capital and then get more stock. Now, they need to actually deliver things. If it's crafts, I need to take that to Manzini. how do we ensure that they are able to get their stuff to Manzini? So we are looking at e-commerce now. In other markets, we do have what we call Momo Marketplace. We are busy working on development of that, of a commerce platform, a marketplace where you'll be able to put your goods and services on the platform. However, how this then augurs well in terms of this partnership is that we're talking about digital addresses. Our challenge is how do we get those things there? So now we have to keep talking about Ngagamkonda, Ngagaban. When we have those navigation and mapping facilities or functionality, then we should be able to actually ensure that they're able to do that. So it's the e-commerce, it's the funding to our customers. But the last one that we want to focus on, especially given this partnership, is financial service education and awareness. We've got a lot of cybercrime that is actually happening currently. We want to partner with government, partner with other financial institutions in ensuring that we create awareness around that.
Thanks, Mr. Shogwa. Thank you very much. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, we still have this switch, Slido. Please drop your questions into that link. Our next panelist will be Mr. Rigo. How can governments work with tech startups and innovators to foster creativity in service delivery? Maybe you can also cover the question of what skills are essential also for Eswatini's workforce to thrive in digital-driven economy, and how can that can be built by the Eswatini? You give us your opinion on the type of skills that the Google Academy can actually bring to push Eswatini into the realm.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you, Madani. My response will come from first-hand experience and that of the people I interact with often. And it starts with this statistic that 70% of the population is 35 and below. So that's the first point I just want to start with, which is 10 out of 10 people, 7 are 35 and below. And of those people, you have 56% that are unemployed. So it's one thing for us to imagine that the room here is representing the country when majority of the stakeholders in the country are on the outside and are usually left out of the conversations we have. So I want to start with that point and emphasize that the responses we can share today are only as good as the actions we can follow up with on. And I'm very intentional about how, as an ecosystem of innovators, our job is to establish a communion of how innovations and ideas are interacting. So it's a hybrid ecosystem. You've got tech, you've got media, you've got education, you've got research, STEM, arts, culture, and the likes, all in one cauldron. But the point of this is that it wouldn't work if there wasn't a value exchange system that we have within ourselves, which we are still developing. In the public sector, our public sector is the largest employer. It's also the largest economic contributor. The statistics are evident. But for it to implement solutions of this scale and grandeur, it requires a model that has been pioneered in the 1700s by the father of modern economics, Adam Smith. He uses the example of the factory floor. In the factory floor, you have, in his example, you have one person who is assigned to create a pin. In one day, that one individual can create 20 pins. But if you create the factory floor whereby one individual rolls out the steel, one individual cuts the steel, the other individual rolls it into sharp tips, the other individual hammers it, and all the way till it leaves the factory, then 20 people can create about 40,000 pins. So this is to say, in the current context of our public sector and in this problem being that government wants to digitalize and give solutions to over 200 services in real time in the next 4 years, it will be virtually impossible for that to be done in one model or modality. The model here is that there has to be a factory floor of solution development, testing, distribution, promotion, engagement, and the likes. We need to engage each and every part of the ecosystem that is involved in this problem. It has to be a locally owned solution, locally owned ecosystem, and we can get assistance, we can get leverage from partners and tools and skills from partners, but the severity of us not being able to do it ourselves will be the most dire we will experience. And so in the public sector instance, there's a policy currently that makes it virtually impossible for a startup to get into the space. And I've encountered this policy countless times. It's the current public regulations, public procurement regulations, rather. And that regulation is in place to protect government from, I'd say, unscrupulous expenditures and corrupt dealings, but it also does the same thing in reverse. It also allows that now everything is done in one area and the public ecosystem doesn't get to participate as easily. So the barriers to entry are this high. A model that this would work in, which is what other countries that have digitalized successfully, is that of involving the private sector vigorously and even the startups using the public-private partnerships. PPPs have to be the vehicle that this system can be done in. And that's the one response I would give to how government could work with the startup ecosystem, the tech ecosystem, and the private sector, considering a different approach to the regulations that govern procurement of products and solutions. And then on the second question, it's on the skills development and the skills capacity that are required in the country, particularly from the youth. If we look at the demographic dividend, it looks at how a country can maximize its economic output by tapping into the demographic change, which is if 70% are 35 and below, and that 35 and below is transitioning to the majority or the average population, how do we tap into those skills? And if you look around, most high school students lack digital skills. And it's evident in the fact that even ICT isn't a mandatory passing subject like mathematics is currently. So a majority of high school students only get to understand technology when they get to tertiary. And the drop-off rate between high school graduation and tertiary entrance is so staggeringly alarming that you understand that we literally do not have enough technical skills with us. So this journey requires that we go into the high schools and even further down into the primary schools, where technology is taught at the grassroots level as essentially as sports and as culture would be. This is for our survival. I think if we miss this train of technical skills competency, we are watching a transition now where AI is disrupting the entire labor market globally, not just ours. McKinsey projects that about 56 million roles will be wiped out over the next 4 to 5 years. But inversely, 96 million new roles will be created. So it's the same analogy of when the car was introduced, the horse caretakers had to lose their jobs, but now there's like tire mechanics and motor mechanics and tire businesses. We need to now focus on transitioning the current labor force into the digital space, and Google Academy being one such avenue is a great opportunity for us to tap into that. But now the siloness of what we have observed and what we know about our country has to be addressed as well. It needs to be distributed across every stakeholder that's involved. It's not one entity's project, it's a national project. And I think we are here as an innovators association to ensure that our members as well are involved in this project, to ensure that there's a pipeline in the institutions of higher learning where our members come from that enables them to be part of this conversation and not just hearing this on social media and public updates. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rago, thanks for the applause. Our next contribution will come from our panelist, Mr. Ntendeza. Mr. Ntendeza, you ready, eh?
I'm ready.
You're ready. All right, my questions are such. We know, as it has been given to us, that there is going to be an implementation of these new systems. And normally those processes come with lots of challenges. Sometimes the adoption times, infrastructure upgrades. So it results in long downtime, sometimes delays into the activation of those systems that would be introduced. Sometimes there's going to be problems with the people that are operating the systems themselves, and lots of other problems can be expected. My question is, how can this transition from a legacy system that we've always had to the modern platforms be done without utmost disruptions of essential services?
Sorry, Mzoma, just to I'd like to leave my parting shot. I am being summoned outside by Labadzala, and I'd like to thank this opportunity and wish that we continue collaborating. The IAE is available to partner, and we are fully on board on this project. I beg your pardon, and I do respect your time. Ngiyabonga.
Let's allow him, ladies and gentlemen. I knew about his departure, but I just didn't know when to release him. Ladies and gentlemen, so let's go to Mr. Ndedeza again. So your question, I think you've picked the first part of the question.
The first part.
And then also you'll be responding with a perspective or a feel of what this opportunity from Google will bring as speed to your adoption to the new systems. And you can give us your response, please.
Okay. No, thank you so much, Mzomba. Ladies and gentlemen, RSTP, if you don't work with us today, tomorrow we are going to be working with you. This particular vision, when it actually started in 2007, as an idea, up to the point where in 2012 it was launched, it was to address such, I don't know. Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Program Director. So as I was taking you through the background of this particular vision from His Majesty the King in 2007, up to the point where this particular beautiful vision was crafted into the law in 2012, it was trying to address this particular challenges that we are facing as a country, or these particular initiatives that we have to take as a country. So we have to move from the legacy system to the new modern world. As we stand right now, we have got close to 80 applications sitting on the legacy system, on the mainframe. So having Google coming here to assist us, and by the way, Google is not just the Gmail and Google apps. It goes beyond that. So we are absolutely excited as RSTP, and we are looking forward to partner with the likes of Google, not only Google itself, including other local players such as your Netcom that are here. We are looking forward to work onto this one. So basically to move into the new world without disrupting the already existing 80 applications. It will require us to have a clear assessment planning. We have to look into the issue of risk management. And most critical, we have to move in a phased approach. I think Mr. Langamalda did specify that when we're moving to the new world, we have to identify those key e-services or those critical services that we have to move first. So he did highlight that the likes of commerce, we have to move with commerce, we have to move with home affairs, the social security services. I'm very fortunate to be working with RSTP and in the kitchen where we are actually cooking. Not Orlando Pirates coach when he said it is cooking, but we are definitely cooking as RSTP. So I think the minister have done great well to bring these particular partners, because we are not going to be able to deliver it on our own. I'll talk from experience. As I was working for Accenture,
I was once part of such a magnitude project where we had to transition from legacy system for telecom South Africa. We did the likes of IEC. When we did that particular project, we had got a number of global partners, such as your Amdocs, your Microsoft, your Oracle, that were part of that particular project. Not only that, Mr. Shonga, we also need to be with you. So if it was up to me, we will have a steering committee that will be made of those critical stakeholders, such as your EPTC, because without the internet or the network, it will be difficult for us to take the service to the people. Unreliable mobile telco connectivity, it will make it difficult for us to take the service to the people. Same thing with EEC. So if there's no power, so which means the government in your hand will not be available to the service will not be available to the people. And also the issue of security, the cyber security, ECOM has to play a critical role to give us the guidance in terms of how we are going to ensure that the data that we are going now to be taking it to the people is protected at all times. So it's quite imperative that the local players have a very, very imperative role to play beside the Google, because Google is going to bring us the technology. So now it will be up to us of how we are going to use the technology. I will talk about the gadgets itself, the gadgets that are provided by the netcoms, the likes of PC systems, the likes of computronics. We need to bring all those players into the forefront. We need to be working together, because us as RSTP, we are the enablers of technology, science, and innovation. We're not the implementers. So we are looking forward to all these particular stakeholders to assist us. In terms of driving the stakeholder engagement, the cultural change, there will be a lot of cultural change that is going to take place right now. I would like to talk about one particular experience that actually happened recently. And 2023, when we were running the elections, we didn't teach anyone how to use the applications to view the elections results as they were trickling in and out. We developed the thing within 3 weeks, and we were able to take it to the public. The download was absolutely incredible. I was so shocked of how Eswatini can adopt a system within 8 hours. It was within 8 hours, everyone was on the system looking at the results. Come when we had to Sibaya, that's one of the things to talk about this thing, ladies and gentlemen, when we have been in the kitchen cooking. Ladies and gentlemen, we are innovative as a country, as Eswatini. And we can implement this thing without fail. It's all about the intention and the confidence. Talk about that experience during Sibaya. The head of state summoned us at 11 p.m. and said, I need a system tomorrow to be up and working. We couldn't question that. We need to do user requirements, we have to do analysis, we have to do testing, we have to do all the likes. He said, I wanted a system tomorrow to be up and running. It was 11 p.m. We had to go to our recipe and start cooking. And the system was there. It was working. Even the adoption for that particular system, it was absolutely amazing. So what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen, I will maybe steal the slogan from Kawota, Sitselegil. We are here. And the government in your hand, it's going to work with these partners that we have here today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Thank you very much for that. Sorry, is this working? Mr. Ntendeza, thank you so much for your intervention. I have a final last question for you. It's going to ask for specificities.
Yes.
I just want to understand, but how do you envisage you impacting or contributing to the economic development, if you have specific tangibles that you can give us today with respect to impacting the economic development of Eswatini as RSTP? Do you have anything that you can highlight for us to track?
Okay. No, thank you so much, Nyamatane. Nyamatane, I will just touch base on from the regulatory aspect of things.
Yeah.
When RSTP was actually established in 2012, a huge milestone happened in 2018. In 2018, where RSTP was declared a special economic zone, we became a special economic zone, bearing in mind that the visionary head of state had that RSTP should play a huge role when it comes to economic contribution. So that is when the Special Economic Zone, SEZ, was established that will attract technical tech organizations to come and set up shop within RSTP. So within that particular framework or within that particular business unit, we are able to create the ease of doing business. We have actually even went to look into the incentives that we are looking at and also the requirements of how you can become a special economic zone licensee. It's now even open for even the locals. Even the locals, when you have got questions about how you can play a role within the special economic zone, we are available to assist you. You can come to RSTP. So we are looking at that particular impact in terms of the job creations that we are going to look at. So talking about from the technical side of things, Nyamatan, we have got startups. So some of the startups have done a major contribution in terms of job creation and also the revenues that our startups have actually created. I think the second group has just started recently right now. So we are also looking at how we are going to work on our ecosystem in order to bring even the other players, such as the likes of Bonnetcom, to become part of the RSTP ecosystem so that we can be able to create the jobs for the people. To the certain extent that RSTP does not supply gadgets to government. We do not provide those sort of like those accessorables and consumables. We are leaving it to the small players to also play that economic role. We are also looking at, in terms of the development space, as we are going to develop this government in your hands, all these applications that I've spoken about, the 80 applications, we need to bring those companies, we need to bring the graduates, very beautiful programs that has been produced by the University of Eswatini. The graduates, they have to come and play a role in order to generate and contribute to the economy. Thank you.
Wow, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I think you've heard the panelists giving us their perspective on the topic. And I'm not sure I prepared something like a summary, but maybe I just want to highlight a bit so that we're on track. I think the first speaker was Mr. Shongwe. My takeaways here is we are able now to have data-driven decisions that are taken from the data that we are collecting. I think that's very important for the policy making and decision making for the country. The second one is also the YouTube advent, that we are looking at actually creating value by monetizing the content that is being developed by Eswatini. I think that's a good initiative. There was also a contribution that they are contributing so much towards financial inclusion. Actually, they account for more than 25% in each jurisdictions that they exist in as MTN. I think that's applaudable. We have Mr. Jose Rego, who unfortunately has had to leave. He mentioned the importance of the youth population that we have, and he cited the factory flow model, that we have to adapt a factory flow mechanism for the development or for the innovation to actually roll out properly. He mentioned that it's critical for us to harness the PPPs and ensure that we have actually the right structures that will integrate them into the system to roll out our systems and to help us in the innovation agenda. And there are many other points that he mentioned. But he says we should focus on this transitioning system or process. We should look at the schools, the curriculum that we have. He cited the high schools. He also cited primary schools as being critical platforms that we can use to actually bring in the innovation so that it cascades upwards. And then we have Mr. Ntendeza, who has mentioned very intriguing points that we must also support the focus on transitioning. And then, but we have to have a very clear path, and we have to be cognizant of the risks that will emerge, and we have to manage it very well. I think that's what he said. Also, we have to be very deliberate or decisive about how we protect the data, as we'll be eventually collecting a lot of data about people and everything. So, as enablers, they bank on the other institutions who are now implementers to actually assist and support and propagate the rollout of innovation across the country. But there's also issues of cultural change which come as a shock for Eswatini. I think there was a lot of underestimate by the RSTP, as I have heard him, but I think the Swatis have really impressed the organization. So we can actually leverage on that we are adaptive and we are ready for the technologies that will come as Eswatini people. We have to, then we are ready to attract the high-tech specs that will be rolled out and brought in by these PPPs that have been highlighted and the many other companies that are already on the ground. So I think, in short, Mr. Ntendeza said we are on course. So, ladies and gentlemen, can we just give them a round of applause? I have behind me now the set of questions that have been coming up. I normally have problems. Can I be allowed to stand up? I normally have problems with reading. That's why I wear glasses. The first question, with your approval, ladies and gentlemen, I think we'll have to make some considerations for the absence of Mr. Jose. The first question says, what is the Minister of ICT doing to streamline financial sector involvement in the SMME funding for innovation and fintech development? I want to throw that one to Mr. Shongwe. The second one goes like this. It goes to Mr. Shongwe again. Mr. Samgeli says it is said. The concern about the perennial cost of data. What steps is MTN taking to address the affordability of data in Eswatini? That goes to you again, Mr. Shongwe, I think. And then the next one says, how far are we with the much-awaited national addressing system? Sisalela emuva ngala ga online participation, online ngala mafisha, ngala mafisha. This, I think, talks to the monetizing of the content. That's how I understand it. But Mr. Shongwe will help us. Maybe also Mr. Ntendeza, if you can pick that one as well, you can be thinking of an answer. The next question says, what is the government doing to introduce a card processing payment gateway in the local banks? I think this far, so good, the questions that I can see. Oh, there are many others. That's for RSTP. Good point, Mr. Ntendeza. Please recommend formation of the representative multi-stakeholder steering committee, perhaps at different levels. I think that's just a recommendation, but you can give your reaction to it. RSTP again, what opportunities are available for the youth and business to meet the high global demand for tech talent? Yeah. Mr. Ntendeza, I'll give that one to you. And then Mr. Shongwe, why is business incubation, it will go back to Mr. Ntendeza. Why is business incubation at RSTP currently in silos, only considering businesses incubated 2 years ago? And then I agree with the panelist. I would like to stress the point that the academia needs to align with national strategic objectives. And then it should take us from schools right through the tertiary. Mr. Shong, you'll give us your reaction. You are allowed to actually pick a few if you think there's a question that you can address also, just to give us a full, I think, impression of how you understand the questions. Thank you very much. Our first respondent will be Mr. Shongwe, please.
Yeah, I was still trying to capture the first one.
Okay, can we
unfortunately,
have
I do not, but I think it's my opinion.
Yeah, can we have somebody who's in control? Just scroll down. Just scroll down.
It's actually asking what Ministry of ICT is doing around financial sector involvement in SMME. I think earlier on I had actually mentioned that for most of these things to work, the private sector needs to partner with government. So when it comes to SMME or SMEs as well, that is where economic growth comes from. So we need to see how we actually try and drive that. So some of the initiatives that Mr. Ndlamandla is talking about here, for instance, the ones with the Ministry of Commerce in terms of making it easier to facilitate renewal of licenses, registration of companies, and so forth, also speaks to that. And the one sector that we need to look at from a fintech point of view is that payments is just one of the levers that we are looking after. But the other one is actually around creating innovative solutions, partnering with the likes of RSTP to also harness what you actually are finding in terms of the young startups that are there, the incubation program. I think that is where us as either it's financial services businesses or fintechs can actually take it further to see how they actually monetize those innovative ideas that they have and create a livelihood around that. So I would say from a Minister of ICT is to work through the RSTP and try and drive that program. So I think we're already there. It's about how do we actually continue to support them in doing that. Yeah, I think that's my opinion. I'm not from the Ministry of ICT, but I think that's something that we could actually foster.
Okay. I think representing the private sector, you actually were the best place to react because you are a mirror. Okay. You had another question. Concern about perennial cost of data.
Oh, data. Yeah. My boss was here.
He's not here. Relax, he's not here.
No, but I think we have been working on the data pricing. That story has been ongoing for some time now. And if you look at on an annual basis, there is actual initiatives that have been done to actually look at the affordability of data. And I think what is also key from my view is that we also do need to understand that we are in a very small market. Obviously, you don't want to offer a service below cost. So we need to find ways of ensuring that we are able to actually give the service and still be able to maintain the service and ensure what Mr. Dedeza was talking about, is it a reliable mobile service? Because now you're not able to do the necessary upgrades and so forth. So I'm not saying that I'm taking away from the cost, but I think we need to be mindful of the fact that in the economy that we're in, the same BTS or the what do you call it, the mobile base station is the same cost as in a population of 60 million in SA to put up one. And you need to pay the same amount and make sure that you are able to cover those costs. So we need to find more innovative solutions to make that data available to our citizens. These are the things where we start talking about fixed wireless capabilities to actually be able to provide data instead of actually saying we want to take fiber to every home. So how do we ensure that we have a hub and then we are able to disseminate that data through other means? I'm making an example. I'm not an engineer, by the way. But all I'm just trying to say is that the affordability of data is something that has been a national agenda, and there has been activity that's been around that. ESCOM, our regulator, has really been pushing that agenda, and on an annual basis, there has been innovations that have been done and initiatives that have been done to make it more affordable.
Okay, thanks, Babeshong. I wish we had more time. I was going to follow up, but I think you've given us a fair response to the issues that to the issue that was raised. For you, Babendendeza, can you help us take the rest of the questions? I know the first one is a bit unfair because you are not a regulator, you are not the government, you are just a facilitator. So, but I think here you are. So, give us what you think.
No, thank you very much, Mzomba. You put it correct that I'm not the regulator, but definitely I'll be the consumer of that particular service. Yeah. So once we actually get the national addressing rights to innovations, it's going to change. In terms of, for instance, we have got a number of startups and some other freelancers, innovators that that are in the process of developing delivery applications. So it makes it very difficult to develop, such as your taxi applications, the likes of Uber, so without the addressing. So we are absolutely looking forward to ESCOM to expedite this particular process because it has been in discussion for such a long time. So they are trying to find out the solutions. Because one of the challenges that we are facing as a country, it is the issue of street addresses. We do not have got street addresses. We know Kamzomba, when you put your address, Kamzomba ngakakeswa a station, Mabuza, you see. So that is one of the things that we have to actually come up with a solution. But I will leave it to ESCOM to respond to that one. Maybe they will respond to the Facebook platforms if they can access it. Then with regard to the multi-stakeholder, I will take that as an agreement to what I was actually saying. It's quite imperative that for this project, they called it the biggest gig in town. If this is the biggest gig in town, we have to bring all the dancers, the guitarists, the drummists, they have to be there. So you cannot become a guitarist and also a drummist and also a backup singer and also the lead singer. So you need everyone to come into the table to work together, including including everyone when we are doing this particular gig. So it's quite imperative that all the young players that we have right now, the innovative guys that are doing something, Luvelo at Look Commissions, they're developing something very amazing, beautiful, innovative stuff that are there. We need to tap into their brains. They have to be in part of the steering committee. That is I'm not detecting, I'm not going to say what the leader of this particular project must do. It's something that he should or she should consider. With regard to the business incubation, I will take that one as a very good something in terms of outlining our inefficiencies. So let me guarantee you, our program director and the questioner, that as RSTP, we are working towards improving our efficiencies, our processes. So we will be launching a couple of business processes in place to ensure that we deliver the best value to our stakeholders who we are working with. So otherwise, maybe I will end with the question with regard to the global opportunities for the youth. Bringing in the likes of Google here, they will be able to market our skills to the rest of the world. I've actually seen such projects whereby at the end of the project, we have seen people moving to the other countries to actually move with the project. Like we said, we are the first in everything. So we might find that this particular project will move to another country, Lesotho, Botswana. So we find that they are going to use our developers. And also one of the best initiatives that the minister came up with, it is the STEM database. So the STEM database, it is one of the initiatives that will actually assist us in terms of marketing our skills to the rest of the world. I thank you.
Okay, thanks, Menendez. I've redistributed my questions. I think there's one that was strategically being left out, the one on academia. But also, can I allow you, Mr. Shongwe, to give us your impression on the online payment systems? We are saying PayPal are inaccessible locally. It requires us to actually use South African accounts to pay. Is there anything being done to assist that? You probably will know as a player in this area.
Thank you, Mr. Tube. Yeah, I think earlier on I mentioned the likes of your Google Pay, that what excites us is the fact that we will probably now have access to that. Maybe just to give a picture, if you look at the bank retail accounts in the country, there's probably 300, and last time I checked, probably 2018, was about 340,000. Of that 340,000 is inclusive of the 4 accounts that I have in different institutions, which means it's likely that people that actually have bank accounts is about 80,000 unique users in the population of close to 700,000 adults, because we have about 656,000 adults in the country. So it means a lot of people don't have access to what we're talking about, financial services. So now when you want to actually purchase something in South Africa, you need a credit card or a debit card. Some debit cards don't even work online. So what we are trying to do is, we recently, about 2 years ago, last year we announced a partnership with MasterCard. The reason we're doing that is because we are seeing that, for instance, I'll make an example. In Eswatini, we have close to 600,000 active mobile money, so unique customers. So if you are able to actually tap into the likes of your MasterCard, which actually has the integration with all these payment platforms, then it will make it easy. People don't have to necessarily go and have a bank account. From the comfort of their homes, on their mobile phones, they can then be able to tap into that. So there is work actually being done around that. In other markets which are ahead of us, which is why I was excited about Google partnership, is because then we might get ahead of the curve. Our size has always been what actually makes us unable to get certain products in the country, because there's only 1.2 million people. But again, based on what the minister was actually saying, the smaller size is where you can actually prove your case. So the smaller the size, one language, proximity to everything, you can get to from one corner of the country to the next in less than 2 hours. So I think that is a space that we are highly excited about, and it's a space that we are working on. When I was talking about the e-commerce and so forth, we are trying to get such partners on the platform. So the interoperability will actually help us. The new payments, the NPS, the payment switch that the central bank is implementing now, is also another area where we will then now integrate everything and everyone can transact. We are currently having to have bilateral agreements with each financial service provider. With the switch, we don't need to do that, because now once you're connected in there, you are able to move funds from your bank account to your mobile money service, your InstaCash, to your email, and so forth. So that's the future that we're looking at. And then I think the other one you had spoken about, was the academia one. Yes. We recently had a fintech CEO conference, I think in August, and it's one of the issues that we were actually discussing. There is nowhere that you go where they say there's a class for fintech. I'll make an example. They're only starting now to provide programs that actually talk to fintech. We are finding ourselves sitting here, no one has actually studied financial technology per se, and it's a way of life. We do that every day. We are sending money to each other. We are actually going into a shop, transacting. Now we are actually working on trying to get payments in transport using mobile money. So our kids are growing up using this, but they do not know how to actually improve and make a living using the financial technology that is at their disposal on a daily basis. So my view is that we need to first start with creating what you call it, the syllabus, whatever, in the schools that actually talks to such kind of programs much earlier. But you cannot do that if your highest institution of education is not necessarily churning out research papers every day, because that's what you need to be able to inform some of the things that you want to do on the ground, which is why I was talking about issues around data decision making, because somebody needs to do research and understand what is actually needed out there in the society. So I think we need to first fix that. You have teachers that do not understand what we're talking about, but you actually expect the kids to grow up and understand that. So let's start at the layers of the tertiary schools. Let's let those that are in those tertiary schools understand it and be able to disseminate that kind of information, in my view.
Thanks for certainly your view. Thank you. So, yeah, and Babendendeza, you have a contribution to make. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much, moderator. I wanted to add something from what Mr. Shong have said in the academia question. It actually goes without saying that we should be aligned with the national strategic objectives. So, most critical aspect is to align with the Sustainable Development Goals, SDG number 4, which is very clear in terms of the quality of education that you have to provide. So we are very fortunate that the government of Eswatini has established agencies such as the National Curriculum Center, and of recently we have got the Eswatini Higher Education Council that is there in order to ensure that we actually align with the Sustainable Development Goals and also the national objectives, working together with the national qualification frameworks. And one of the particular agents that we have to take into mind, the SAPAC, the Research Council have actually come up with a paper in terms of addressing the skills gaps or that are going to assist us into the future. So all in all, I would say in the academia, we have actually done quite well as a country in terms of aligning with the national strategic objectives and also the Sustainable Development Goals. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Babendendeza. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that takes us to the end of my session, or our session together. Can we just give a round of applause in appreciating the contributions that they've personally made? Thank you very much to my panelists for the support. And please, nobody will take you accountable. You are giving your views, so you are safe. Thank you also on my behalf. I want to take this opportunity to express my appreciation for this unique opportunity to come and learn, to share and moderate a session. I hope the damage has not been too big. You can still survive throughout the day. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. All the best. Thanks so much.
What an insightful conversation, just harping on the very same cadence we've been moving on since we started in the morning. We have officially entered the afternoon of the day, 19 minutes into 12 p.m. Central African time. And a few reflections from this panel discussion, which was very insightful, by the way. Let's acknowledge Mr. Shongwe, Mr. Rego, Mr. Ndendesa, and our moderator, Umzomba. That was really, really great. We were sort of looking at things from an innovator's prism, their outlook, which speaks to, some of the challenges which we tend not to appreciate as consumers. We always, come with complaints towards MTN, towards the RSTP. And so it was sort of sobering to get a fair share of their own fair share of challenges that they encounter. But I think that is what makes or underscores the importance of this day in realizing how we mitigate all these challenges and impediments, as it were, that we continue to face. And Ndendesa said, Google brings the tech, but it's up to us if we fully leverage all the great things that it comes with. And I want to send a responsibility that Ndendesa and all the other players, may we cook, to steal from your words, may we cook with the same urgency that you guys cooked when you created the Sibaya application. If you received that directive at midnight and it was running by the next day, surely we have competent and very, very smart people in Eswatini in this tech bandwagon. So thank you for that, Ndendesa. Moving along with the program, we do have amongst our midst the Undersecretary from the Ministry of ICT, Mage Makanjana Motsa, who is going to hand over gifts to some of our people, our special people, who have done an incredible job on this very same stage. So Mage Makanjana Motsa, you may take center stage and do the needful. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude the biggest gig in town, we would like to express our sincere gratitude to everyone who made this day a success. First and foremost, we deeply appreciate our distinguished guests from the business sector, government, civil society, for gracing us with your presence and demonstrating your support of the Eswatini digital transformation journey. Your engagement and commitment are invaluable as we advance towards a more connected and inclusive future. To the Minister of ICT parastatals and partners, your contribution are a vital part of today's success. A special thank you to the Eswatini Communications Commission for sponsoring the refreshments and corporate gifts, and to the Eswatini Post and Telecommunications EPTC for ensuring seamless connectivity during this event. Our appreciation also goes to Eswatini Revenue Services, ERS, and the Royal Science and Technology Park, RSTP, for their collaboration and support. We are equally grateful to Eswatini Television for their media coverage and to all the media houses present today for helping us share this milestone with the nation and beyond. This partnership, ladies and gentlemen, with Google is a step towards realizing our vision of Eswatini's digital transformation and economic prosperity. Together as government, private sector and civil society, we are building a foundation that will empower future generations and elevate our nation on the digital stage. Thank you once again for joining us, and we will look forward to working together as we embark on this exciting journey. Safe travels and have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I really hope that Jose Rego is the only panel participator that is left, because I have been requested to call upon our panelists onto the stage. We'll start with panel 1. That's for me, for real. Can I close? Ladies and gentlemen, you have been a really lovely audience to host. I want to appreciate your engagement during our panel discussions, but I also want to play the dangerous game of trying to make a rundown of everyone who came up here, except maybe the panelists. I will just generalize and thank the panelists and our moderators, but the peers from the Ministry of ICT who laid the groundwork, to the Honorable Minister of ICT, Mage Savannah Mazia, to Basil from Google, and Tarun, as well as all the other guys they came with. We really want to appreciate everything that they came on this stage and articulated, but also I'm just recognizing some of the faces. I'm realizing now that they've been here. I see Mr. Brighton Ngambule, the commissioner, has shifted from the front towards the back. He's still here. We did see representatives from the Eswatini Communications Commission in the presence of Babem Vilawempi Dlamini, the Chief Executive Officer. The chairperson of the Bankers Association, Babem Vuselo Fagutsa, was here as well as Mr. Inati, who came in late and acknowledged that this is indeed the biggest gig in town. Babe Andreas Lamini, we recognize you as well. Thank you for your presence, as well as everyone. I will apologize if I forget your name, but we really, really appreciate that you made yourselves available for this important initiative where we saw a cross-pollination of information around something that is very essential towards our future. You have been a lovely audience. We hope that you are going to enjoy the refreshments, which I have learned have been sponsored by the Eswatini Communications Commission. They have been very kind. So let's go ahead and enjoy the refreshments. Thank you. Bye-bye.